Hello, my name is Justin Hickman. I'm with Vertispan. Today is June 13th, 2023 for the YouTube audience. Today, I'm going to be continuing the series of Let's Make a GWT application. And today, probably going to start out looking at URL routing because, I mean, with any good CRM, you might want to be able to bookmark certain things. So it might be kind of fun to play around with that. And then maybe if time allows, because I'm not sure how long I'm going to be streaming today, we might get into some UI development in regards to maybe one of the plugins that we had started, either the CRM customer management or maybe with the other notes. I did add a few data types in here. Reminded me how much I hate data modeling, but I created a partner class. And I am using Lombok. I'll probably switch off from using this because although Lombok is supported in GWT, there are a few hoops that you have to jump through in regards to running the Java agent with the SDM. But it does work. I was able to get it to work. We can take a look at that real quick. I might actually bring my view up a little bit. So right now I'm zooming at a 110%. That's 125. 150. 150 looks good. I mean, for the other stream, might be a little bit easier to read with a larger font. All right, so let's just take a look at the other changes that I made since the other last stream. I'm going to cut my camera so that you can see the other right side of the other diff. So in the other root POM, I basically just added a Lombok version property. Added a dependency for Lombok, and that's in the dependency management. So all of the child modules will be able to inherit that without having to specify the other version. The Maven dependency plugin, I just force it to run the properties goal. That way, whenever I get down to here, not that one, but down here with the other JVM args, this property is actually created from the other dependency Maven plugin. Makes it a little bit easier to specify the location of the jar than to hard code a local path. That only works whenever you're running the other Maven build directly. For the code server, I did have to change it a little bit so that I specified that property in here to the full path of the Lombok jar. I tried a lot of different iterations. I spent a little bit too much time yesterday trying to get that to work. But it does work. I just had to change that run config and hard code a fully qualified path to that jar. In the shared module, here I'm just using the Lombok dependency in the core. I'm just depending on the shared, which is fine. And then I created these data types. So if you're not familiar with Lombok, it basically allows you to create all of the Java bean goodness with like the getters and setters as part of the pre-compiler. Essentially, it'll actually generate the code for this. So if I take a look under shared target generated sources, maybe it doesn't generate it. Oh, that's right. There is a Maven plugin that'll allow it to generate the Java code. It doesn't look like it actually does it. IntelliJ does support it, so it'll actually allow us to see, because of the fact that we have this data annotation, all that does is creates all of the getters and setters for all of these fields. Um, for some of this stuff, it'll create like an equals and hash code. I can create a toString, and all of this is just automatically generated into the bytecode. And that's where it gets into some weirdness with the GWT side, because GWT actually looks at the source and not the bytecode for the most part. So that's why we had to change the code server so that it would use the Java agent for whenever it's looking at these classes, because whenever we are creating like a new partner instance, we have a set partner ID, and notice that there is a set method, set partner ID, even though that method doesn't actually exist in the other source code. And that's only to save myself a lot of time, because a lot of these data types are going to be in a state of flux, because I hate data modeling. Haven't even thought about any kind of database structures. I'm just thinking in terms of this particular user interface, what kind of data I'm actually going to be needing. So whenever we're editing a customer, we might have some of its contacts, might have miscellaneous bits of detail. So what I ended up doing was I created a superclass called partner, which has a partner ID, the name. I created an address object. That way, if we have multiple types of addresses, maybe with international, it would be able to basically use that like a tax ID number, email, website, language. But then as subclasses, I created a company. Right now it doesn't do anything except for creates an equals and hash code, and it does call the super method, or the super hash code and super equals for a lot of this stuff. And then what was the other subclass of partner? Did not make a breakpoint there. Individual partner. So this is basically like a particular user that might exist in a company. So this one can actually point to a company ID, which is just a GUID, which is a globally unique identifier. Right now it's just a string, most likely like a UUID or something like that. And it just points back to a different partner ID. So you basically you would create a company, which is a partner, but then you would create an individual partner and point that to the other company that they belong to. So that'll allow you to actually have some sort of connection in there, and they all exist under a single partner. So it's going to mix the different contacts in here. So whenever you're looking at customer A, it's going to be a customer partner, and it's going to have a one-to-many relationship with all of the contacts, which are other partners, but they are individual partners instead. And for that, we'll also have like a job position title. So just different kinds of things that we want to look at it on that. I did take a look at using like the Microsoft common data model, and that is with Microsoft. And the whole point with this is so that it basically allows a universal common data model that can be used regardless of the application, the language. So if you're transferring things over the wire, whenever you say you have an account and it has XYZ properties or attributes to it, it's able to be identified through the standard definition. I don't know if I want to go that direction or not. It does have a long list of different types of objects for it. Might be interesting down the line. So if you have like an application, common stuff, you have an account, and it has all of its different data points, and it has a good description of what it's intended for. But I decided not to do that. I wasn't able to find, I did find some jars. So if I do a search for Maven, common data model, is that what it's called again? Yeah, let's look for com.microsoft.common data model. I think that's it. And then it might have like an object model. Yeah, here we go. So you have the object model, and you have your CDM standards. They didn't have exactly the data types that I wanted, and I also didn't want to have to deal with converting those into GWT safe objects. I didn't want to look into that, so I ended up just modeling a couple of classes myself, and that's why I chose Lombok. That way I can actually do this quickly, and I don't have to change a lot of getters and setters if I were to rename something. Let's go ahead and close out some of these, and it does work. So if I were to, sorry about that, I almost sneezed. Well, here's a good example. So I was looking into creating some dummy data, because I obviously don't want to hard code all of this stuff in my classes. I'm going to have some sort of data provider, and eventually these will be backed by like a RPC or some sort of REST service. But for now, I ended up just using that Makaru website, and this allows you to do some data generation, which is very nice, because then I was able to essentially create something that had like a partner ID, and this was like GUID, and all of that stuff. And then whenever I generate the data, it's able to create like a CVS file, and that's what I used previously whenever I was doing the GWT database project. And that I created a company.csv, and that just created a bunch of different partner information, where it actually has like addresses, email addresses, website URLs, things like that. It's all just random data. And what I ended up doing was just creating a stream of that CSS or CVS. Why did I call it CVS? This isn't version control, it's CSV. CSV. CVS. Did I say it anywhere else? CVS. Doesn't look like I. Okay, so I guess that was the only place that I misspelled it. But creates a CSV, and all I do is split it apart. There's that. So I skipped the first line, because the first line is the header of this CSV. But then for the rest of the data, I'm just splitting it on new line and then splitting it on comma. And here I'm just taking that bit of data and throwing it into these data types. Pretty simple. Poor man's dummy data generation. And I can actually see that by getting the other companies, which is just an unmodifiable list of all of the other companies. And eventually I'll slap that up against different individual users, so that I can have contacts. And I'll probably do that in such a way that it's stable, because I want to make sure that we don't have random test data. Random data is always pretty bad. So if I were to, let's go ahead and run this real quick. So I'm just going to run the code server, and then I'll start up Jetty. And then we can test this out real quick just to make sure that it actually works. And it should give me 1,000 records because I guess that's all that you can get with the free. Macaroon is pretty nice. I've only used it a couple of times, but it does have a lot of different types of data that it can generate. So like health data, you can get all of this, like drug companies and stuff like that. Construction, so if you're doing like a construction app, it has some pretty cool little bits of data. I actually did like language too, because language was one of the things that I did in my data type, and you can actually generate language, which is very cool. So let's get rid of all of these. I can preview that, and you can see essentially all of the different types of languages that it can generate. I think it you can do like an enumeration. So if you only want like German, English, and Spanish, I think you can do that differently. Oh, maybe not. Might be in here somewhere. Custom list, here we go. Picks items randomly or sequentially from custom list of values. So if you wanted only certain languages to be available, you would be able to do that. And then you can have different types of way of choosing it, which is really, really cool, especially for test data like this. So that is still starting up. I just want to make sure that it all runs before we commit my changes and then start on looking at the history. I might be able to start jetting now. Hopefully it'll actually start. It's taking a while to compile for some reason. Not entirely sure why. Jetty started. It just hasn't finished doing the GWT compile. So while that's doing that, I can start typing up the URL. Like it's already here. Oh, that's interesting. Seems to be... Oh, it must have just finished right before I loaded the URL. So let's go ahead and load up the other console, and this should print out the number of customers that we have in the test data to the other console. There might be a couple of other console logs from the other tests that we were doing in previous weeks. I haven't removed those from code yet. Here we go. We're compiling permutation 0, and since we collapsed all properties, we'll only have the single permutation. It's only long the first time because it's having to build out the cache. Making minor changes, it doesn't take nearly as long for the compilations time. Yeah, that was 71 seconds. Crazy. All right, there we go. And it printed 1000. Of course, I'm printing the, I'm console logging the actual integer object and not the toString of it. I guess I can do this. And let's just double check that it doesn't take forever for the compilation. Yeah, there it goes. So that was a lot quicker. 9 seconds versus the 71 to fully build out its cache. And there we go. So there's a 1000 records. If I wanted to, I can do get 0. Oops. Let's just grab the first one, print it out, see what kind of data we actually have. And the nice thing is I would be able to regenerate this list using that Makaru website. If I wanted to add any more data, I don't have to manually modify any of the CSV. Why do I keep saying CVS? There we go. It just says company. Not a very good toString. Does it even have a toString in the company? No, it doesn't. That's probably why. toString. Does it have any? Okay, so you can call the super, which is kind of cool. It's default to false. I wonder if we should call super. And I don't know if this will actually do it. Kind of curious if it'll be able to detect that change. Call super equals true. Make sure that's finished. Refresh. Yeah, I don't know if it'll actually catch that change or not. I mean, I could always throw in an extra... Oh, wow. Yeah, look at that. So it actually has the super partner. Has all of the email, the address, all of that stuff. Even this URL, which is... I have no idea what they use for their URLs. Are these valid? No. Is Topsy.com an actual website? Kind of curious. Who is? Domain lookups. Topsy.com. It sounds like a legit website. Yeah, it is. Oh, it's owned by Apple. Oh. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be kind of weird if Makaru is actually using real domains. See, there's Dyn DNS. That's a dynamic DNS. NASA.gov. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Because some of these could be actual email addresses. Those are legit. Some of them are legit domain names. Adobe.com. Oof. Yeah. Don't actually use those for sending out emails or anything like that. That would probably be very bad. All right, so let's go ahead and close all that. Oops, I need to go back into the CSR plugin or C something plugin, CRM plugin. Let's go ahead and remove that line. Let's go ahead and commit our changes. I like to commit changes in between logical bits of work. That way I'm not mixing multiple things. And if I ever need to roll back, I am rolling back to a known position in my changes. Yeah, I might pull that out later, but let's go ahead and commit that change. There we go. So now we're at a clean spot, and what we want to do is let's look at our option for history. So I am probably going to do this in the other core plugin. Did I not change the name of it? No, that's correct for the module. What did I call the other core plugin? Oh, did I just call it core? Should probably change that to a core plugin. Yeah, let's do that. Plugin. Refactor. Let's just double check the places that it modified. I know that it's going to. Where's my change list? There we go. Let's remove my camera so that you can see. I did rename it from core to core plugin. It's not really a plugin. Maybe that's why I didn't call it plugin, because this is just the core. But I should probably follow the same conventions, right? Extends base plugin. Then with that, we have to implement a method on start, which, oh, that's why we can't do that as a plugin, because we're basically injecting ourselves here. All right, so that's fine. Let's just roll this back. Implements entry point. That might not actually be good here. We don't want to do that because we have the core inject helper that's already providing the core component, and this will be a different instance if we do it this way. So we need a core component or core inject helper provide component. Yeah, otherwise that's going to create a different instance, which means all of our singletons and everything else will be duplicated. All right, so that was a bug. Let's take a look at the different mechanism for history. I'm not sure if we should look at some of the older GWT related things. I don't want to fully support like places and activities, but places are really not that bad, and it supports the history mechanism, where it can push and pop things from the history, and it fires events for this kind of stuff. Because I was thinking that for the URLs here, if we take a look at the wireframes, back at that again, we have CRM. It looks like I didn't change the URL on any of these, but I think what we could do is use the history mechanism to figure out first which plugin should be handling that focus. And then underneath that, it can parse its own URLs. So we don't have to parse the entire URL history in a single go. We can parse out just the initial starting point and then hand it off to the other plugin for further manipulation. So I think that would be a good idea on this. But if we take a look at a couple of classes, the first one that I want to look at is probably the place controller. Let's just take a look at a place controller, attach that source. So this is in charge of the user's location in the app. I don't think it has any. Yeah, it doesn't look like this has any of the access to activities. It will be using an event bus. So we just need to figure out which event bus we want to use. It looks like it does wrap the old one. So this is the bindery event bus. So these are just casting from the event shared to the other bindery one. So if we were just to use the other bindery one, automatically it should be fine. And this returns the other current place. And place is just an abstract class. So anything would have to extend this. Yeah, I mean that's something that we can look at. So let's see what we can do with that. I mean, for the first part, we don't need to actually delegate based upon that. I know that whenever we are in the CRM plugin, whenever we register ourselves, we might have to register our own place to say, hey, here's our place. Whenever the core plugin sees that place, it would be able to delegate appropriately. So let's see what we can do with that. So place controller, let's do place controller. That takes some sort of event bus. That's the global. Is that it's public. It's deprecated though. And that's because I'm using the different event bus. Since we're just starting this app, we might as well just use the bindery one out the door. So here's the bindery one. Oh, it's because we need to inherit place. So let's open up the module.gwt.xml. Inherit name equals com place. There we go. Did that fix that? It's still updating. Maybe if I run install, maybe it'll recognize it. Yeah, while that's working on that, oh, of course, this is going to fail compilation because I never did modify the module itself. We have that component, but we didn't change the other module. I'm just going to rename this back to core. I'll figure that one out later. Make sure that changed it back in the module XML, and it did. It's kind of weird that it's, yeah. And that didn't compile for obvious reasons, because in our component, which component uses this module, we're actually creating the wrong type of event bus. So I'm going to get rid of those, and I'm going to re-import from the other bindery. weird. Why isn't it allowing me to import? Go. Import class, and this is going to be the bindery one. I don't know what's going on with my my NAS this morning, my network access server. It's been grinding away all morning, and it doesn't look like I'm doing a backup right now. Must be updating packages or something. Yeah, I just want that little error to go away. Which it should have already gone away if you think about it. Maybe it just hasn't indexed the target folder yet. Because it is pulling the not structure, it is pulling the GWT.xml from in here, which is under classes and core. Ow, I shouldn't have renamed it, because now we have two of them. That might cause some issues. But yeah, here's the other place and the other core GWT.xml. Oh, there it goes. So it finally caught up. All right, so the place controller. We probably need a place history handler. Let's take a look at the other Java doc for that. Have to attach the sources. Monitors place change events and history events to keep them in sync. So yeah, whenever we look at the other place controller, let's collapse that. We can see that we have that event bus, and whenever it closes, it handles that kind of stuff. It throws all of the different types of events. So here, whenever we go to a certain place, it calls maybe go to, which maybe go to fires a place change request event. So this is what we were talking about before in a previous stream, where let's say that we're currently editing a customer right here, and somebody clicks on one of these. Instead of just going there and blasting away this stuff, there's going to be a place change request event that occurs, and that will allow some sort of listener to say, hey, I'm not ready to give up control yet, and it'll return a string. Basically, it'll modify the event, and if that event is not null, it will basically call delegate. What does it do with that? If it's, oh, I guess it basically does nothing. So I guess it's up to the place that's handling that place change request event to actually pop up some sort of message, which makes a lot of sense. It doesn't make a lot of sense for this code to have like UI controls, because otherwise we can't use it, because we're doing all of this in Domino rather than within the other older GWT widgets. All right, so let's go back over here. Let's see this handler, place history handler, and this takes a mapper and a historian. Let's create a local variable for that. New place history mapper. This looks like an interface. Let's see what kind of implementations we have. Place history mapper with factory. Yeah, it's been a while since I've looked at any of this stuff. I just want to make sure that we're not tying ourselves to the activities, because activities are definitely bound to GWT widgets. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's much to that. That might be fine. So let's let me look at my notes real quick. Previous project that I worked on has some of this stuff. So I probably can create my own support, or my own, I don't know what to call it, just my own place history mapper. Need to do that. I meant to, this is not the source. So up here, let's create a package. History, I don't know. Let's create a our own place history mapper. I'm trying to find where I actually put that stuff. I'm not a big fan of this. Let's see if I can find the documentation for that real quick. So GWT project. Yeah, let's take a look at that. Because again, we're not going to be looking at GWT widgets. So I'm trying to keep myself from using those as much as possible. Alright, so the place history mapper declares all of the places available in your app, which this will definitely need to be done via registration, because the plugins need to be able to register their own places. Create an interface that extends place history mapper and use the annotation with tokenizers to list each of the tokenizer classes. At GWT compile time, GWT generates a class based upon your interface that extends abstract place history mapper. Place history mapper is the link between your tokenizers. So I might end up having to create my own implementation like this. So if we receive a token, we'll be able to go back to a place. Otherwise, from a place, we should be able to get the other token. So we might have to do something special with that. So what is the other place? Is that just a marker interface? It's an abstract class, that's right. So everything will have to extend that. I might create my own abstract class that everything has to go through. Like a base app place. In that particular case, I might want to inject this. As we might want to be able to have this stuff created. So I might have this as an injected field. So then if we take a look at a core module, we can provide singleton static may not have to do that. We might be able to just do a bind. Yeah, let's do a binds. And this can't be a static. Has to be abstract though, right? Yeah, I think that's how it works. It's been a while since I've done that, but this should basically instantiate this guy, and he will be injected appropriately. And then return that as a place history mapper. So then anybody that's asking to be injected with a place history mapper will be injected with the singleton that we created here. All right, so then we have that. And we probably need the, we probably need some sort of name. Only because I do not like magic strings everywhere. I like to at least create some sort of constant for this. So that allows me on the event bus, make this one named, and then put names global. And it does have to be a string, and that's, I wish it supported something else, but strings is what it supports. So then we have to make sure that anywhere that we're getting injected with the event bus, we have to grab, I don't know if I have to do that from the handler here, or the component. Where's the component at? I don't think I need to do anything on that one. Do I? I don't think so. And it's just whenever I use it, I think I have to do like inject named names.global. Or first import that names global. Import that, and then I can do event bus binary global event bus. And of course that name doesn't really matter because it's getting its injection from this information and the other type. And because this is the binary one, it's able to use that. So if I have a place history handler, I can throw in the other mapper. And we need to figure out the default. This is the default place. So if it's not able to parse something, it needs to have some sort of default place. So I'm going to have some sort of home place. And then history handler, handle current history. And we need to figure out the order of operations here, because whenever the plugins are registering themselves, we need to know when all of the plugins are registered before actually calling this. So we might end up having to do this in a finally. Scheduler, get schedule deferred, maybe a deferred. Yeah, I know, it's wanting to use the other lambda here. That's fine. I can throw that on the outside and do the other lambda on that. All right, so yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how that works. But we might create the new home place. Not entirely sure how that's going to work yet. Probably needs to have its own tokenizers, because I know that there are place tokenizers. If we are using this app history mapper, this is basically a global tokenizer, so we could register tokenizers with this. Yeah, I'm not sure how we're going to do that. So let's take a look at the CRM plugin. Let's keep the left side as the core stuff and the other right side as the CRM plugin side. So we probably will need to be able to register our place. And should this be in a navigation item? I mean, looking at the wireframes, it kind of looks like it might be. At the same time, we might be able to register multiple navigation items in a single go. Which, at the same time, it probably still relates to a single plugin for that. Well, let's try something very simple, and then we can go from that. Wasn't really prepared much for this stream. I was thinking of doing something else, but then I changed my thought process last minute. All right, so my new home place, I think I got that now. So there we go. Maybe I'll I can change the navigation item to include the place. Yeah, because I know that we were going to change some of this to be suppliers instead, because no reason to pull up the entire user interface and construct it in a eager way. This probably just needs to be a supplier of the is element so that we can be lazy about it. Base app place. And private supplier of is element of anything. So we might have a title for that. That's fine. And over here, IOC, maybe we have a package for history. And we create a CRM place. Den's base. That place. I think this is what we were doing for the time being, just creating a simple alert. And this can just go inside of a supplier now, Lambda. So that's pretty simple. We just need to find the other uses of this because there's going to be some errors on the other notes plugin now. Hello. Notes plugin. Oh, there it is. And let's create a notes place. And for that, new notes place. And this is a supplier now. Obviously, we'll change this stuff up later. All right, so navigation item. I know that there's going to be some failures on that, so let's take a look at our uses. I don't think there's going to be any issues in this class because we're just holding and returning the other type. I know that I meant for the core stuff to be over here. Let's see, where are we using that? Core module. Where else are we using this? Not the implementation. Uses. Here we go. So here's in the other shell. Knew it was in here somewhere. All right. So navigation item. So in this particular case, we need to get the other place. Get name. And whenever we get the component supplier, we can call get on that. So it just means that our base app place, we should have a name. This should probably be abstract, protected. This app place. So we have home place, and we need to have a constructor that, oh, I don't want to do that. Super home, whatever we want to call that. Oops, did not mean to close that. Let's click on these problems. Let's just create the same constructor. Let's delegate through. Do that on that. Because if we ever want like internationalization or something, we can do that appropriately. So notes plugin. Now we need to construct this with notes. And then the CRM plugin, we construct this with CRM. All right, I'm just going to close everything out because there's way too much noise going on. Can we just refresh, and will that work? Hopefully it didn't break too much. Might have to run compile again for any of the annotation processors with Dagger, because I did modify the other Dagger stuff. So let's go ahead and run compile, restart the other code server. Oops. Did not mean to switch windows. All right. Oh. I didn't mean to do it that way. Didn't mean to return itself, because that causes problems with the other Dagger side. Because the anything that it returns, it's expecting to provide that to any submodules. All right. Cannot be provided without a provides annotation. I swore I looked that up. Yeah, let's see. Hold on one moment. I'm trying to figure out where this is. Yeah, I don't think that's correct. Not be provided. Let me see if there's any more information on that. Missing binding. Didn't we? Let's take a look at that core module again. Yeah, that's the bindery provides singleton. Yeah, that should work. Did I get the wrong one here? No, that's the correct one. Maybe I need to clean. I'm wondering if it has some old artifacts in here. Yeah, I should probably stop those servers running. Let's go ahead and run the compile again. Get rid of some of those old cruft files. Possibly because of the I renamed core from core to core plugin and then back to core again. Probably had some weird issues with that. Nope. Missing binding usage. As requested. Yeah. Core component. Not be provided without. Do we have to on the module itself? Or the other component? I don't think so. I really doubt this is correct. I don't think you're supposed to put any provide stuff in the component. At least in all of my tests, I didn't do that. All right, so bear with me. I'm looking up some even older source. I have a patch that I had. Core component. No. Looks like it's just like this. Has my modules here. Of course, I can have multiple modules. And once I have like security and anything else here, I'll go ahead and add those modules as well. I have the scope that this particular component runs with. We can play around with it because we might end up having to use the legacy one as well. So let's add that as well. So here we might have event bus. This one, provide legacy event bus. Just in case somebody needs to be injected with that. And I would prefer to use the same instance. That way they're both on the same global event bus. Should probably call it a global. And then over here, singleton, yeah, we're naming it, but that shouldn't cause any issues. That can be injected with com.google gwt event shared event bus. Oops, misspelled Google. And that can just be returned as is. Provides singleton public static. I wonder if it has to be public. And this is going to be the legacy one. All right, so what this does, we have this singleton for providing the legacy global event bus. Of course, we should probably name this as global, because otherwise might have an issue. I'm not sure. Of course, we need to have this one named as global. That gets injected into this method, and because of the fact that this extends the binary one, we can just return it as is, so we don't have to do anything special there. And eventually we'll have like security context and anything else that we might have. Is that it? I wonder if it's just the named. I may have to look back at how you name dependencies. It does. So we have something that's providing this. I wonder, again, is it because of the I could always use the bind. Yeah, why don't I try that? Instead of making a static method here, I could probably use the bindings, similar to what I did down here. But let's first see if it's just the visibility. We know that this works because we were able to get that one before. static, doesn't it? That's probably what it is. Was that in my notes? And I just completely overlooked the other static. Everything is publicly visible in interfaces, right? Oh, right. This isn't an interface though. This is an abstract class. In my notes, I didn't have static here, so I wonder why. Like it really mattered anyways. Yeah, that didn't help any. Let's try this a little different. Or not that. Simple event bus. And this is going to be provides named. I don't think I need to do provides anymore. If I'm doing a bind. So in here we can do the other same thing. Instead of provides, we can do a binds. We can change this just to abstract. I don't think that'll work. Will it? I'm going to be binding that injection to that. And it's going to say, hey, where do I get this? Well, we have this providing that binding. Then this, it's providing this binding, which is just an instance. Yeah, now we're having 3 issues. I need to do a better refresh of memory on how Dagger works. Oh, yeah, I can remove my face altogether. Cannot be provided without an inject. Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. That's why I wasn't doing the bind on that one, because I actually need to instantiate that one. Provides static, and remove that. Return new simple event bus. That one makes sense because you have to have an inject constructor for it to be give it the ability to be auto. All right. Missing binding usage. Bindery is requested at provide global event bus. Cannot be provided without a provides annotation. So that one is the legacy one. Which is this one right here, and that's being provided by this one. that has a provides. Provides named singleton. Do you have to here? Oh, okay. So I'm going off of two different projects that I have, and I wasn't actually exposing the named objects in my component. Why? Just out of curiosity, why does it seem weird to name them? Because what if I have multiple event buses and I want to differentiate between them? Yeah, I'm not entirely. Yeah, but you could have multiple instances based upon the needed use, because you may not want the same amount of traffic. For example, what if within a module like this, inside of the module, it has its own event bus? And whenever I click on things or it fires events, I don't want it to go to the global one. The global one seems to be an inappropriate place because nothing from the other plugins would need to be able to interact with the events that are going onto the global. Right. Of course, I only have the other one now, but I'm carving out for the other future. And that did seem to work. So I guess I didn't realize that we had to name them on the other component. All right, so since that worked, I should be able to come back over here. Let's restart our code server. While that's working, let's take a look at the other next thing that we need to do for this to be beneficial, because obviously in the other core, we are going to be listening to these, and we just need to figure out how to convert. You have to say name global everywhere, which seems excessive. Instead, you could have had an unnamed for global. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't know. You're probably right. That may make more sense. Of course, we'll have to keep track of any of the children event buses. All right, so we have the place history handler. We have this mapper, but we haven't actually done anything with that mapper. I'm using Dagger on a server-side app, but I don't presently have projects using it client-side. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've only used it on client-side a couple of times. My familiarity on dependency injection on the GWT side was really with gin and juice. Gin, juice for all of the GWT injections. It was a lot easier, in my opinion, than Dagger, but Dagger does support quite a bit more in regards to scopes and different types of functionality. It's just not as easy to set up, in my opinion. I mean, it could be. All right. So I'm not entirely sure what to do about this. So what I want to do is let's go ahead and throw a debugger in here. Start up Jetty. Eventually. There we go. That is the wrong app. Hello. Let's make sure that this compiles. This should pause at the breakpoint. I just need to figure out how to actually register that stuff. Probably have it as part of the register for the menu. I don't know, that seems kind of weird. Oh yeah, it was definitely much more limited. I'm still not sold on the annotation processors. I mean, in theory, they're really good, but life cycle wise, I've always had an issue with it. Having issues here. Who else is using the event bus? Cannot make a static reference to non-static method. Event bus. Ow. Is it because I had mix core module? Not a static here. Yeah, let's hopefully I don't have to do a full recompile on this, because that's always obnoxious. Yeah, it looks like it actually worked. Cool. All right. Well, we still know that these work in regards to the communication, or the but it didn't actually hit my breakpoint. Handle current history. Wonder if it's because I didn't have anything. Ah, yeah, there we go. Because there wasn't any history on the URL, so it didn't have anything to handle. So the token is basically just the garbage that's after it. If I embed some other crap in it, the token should be everything after the hash symbol. I don't think it'll do anything with the query params. Yeah, it just throws everything after the hash into this. So then every place would be able to tokenize whatever it wants. I haven't really thought that through, but we should be able to at least map all of that stuff. So if we take a look at the module, yeah, let's take a look at our code here. So the menu registry. Right now it's just getting injected like that. Might tie them in together for now. We can always split that out later. I want to do a or place history mapper. Yeah, in this particular case, I really do need this class. I just want to make sure it's the same instance, you know? Well, I can find out. We just do this as fields inject. So here we're registering, and this is not title anymore. This is actually a menu or a navigation item. And we can always do mapper dot add place, navigation item, get place. Yeah, I'm not sure. Because we still need to be able to map a place to something. Because I mean, that's the whole point, is to be able to map it to something. So from a this is just for the tokenizing, being able to take a place and tokenize it to a string, and vice versa. From a string, figure out what place it is. Could use it like a visitor pattern, where we go through all of the places to say, hey, can you handle this token? I mean, it's not an entirely great plan, but I think that's how it's done otherwise. Because you could create a with tokenizers, so you can on your place history mapper, you can specify a list of place tokenizers, which I think it just goes through all of them and tries to figure out, can it find a place for this token. Let me see the documentation. It's been a while since I've looked at that. I can get rid of that. I can get rid of that. That website is very memory intensive. Yeah, so in terms of like an activity mapper, it's taking the place and returning the activity based upon the other place. And of course you can implement that however you want. Could just be an instance of, and it just returns that activity. has an activity mapper, activity manager, history mapper. We created one of those. All right, so if I were to add a place for this, public void add place, base add place. I wonder if I should use the name as the tokenizer. Or maybe the tokenizer is in the other place, because this could have like a tokenizer, place tokenizer of. Yeah, that makes sense. It probably doesn't make sense, but let's keep going with it until we find a reason why it won't work. So obviously the subclasses here will need to have its own tokenizer. We can figure this one out fairly easily. We need to just double check. That's how it does it. Place history mapper generator. Prefix and token. So yeah, this uses a semicolon, or not a semicolon, but a colon to separate out the prefix and the token. So I mean, this could indicate that we can separate out the main information with the tokenized stuff with a colon. Can't exactly use this one. Can we? I mean, I guess we can subclass this one. I know that we're not going to have the generator per se. This uses a factory. Place history mapper with a factory, and the factory is just an F. How's that using the factory? Basically, it might as well just be object. Yeah, here it's talking about using an injection framework like Gen to obtain references to objects. Yeah, see, this is just using the other tokenizers, and it's just providing a tokenizer factory. So what does a tokenizer factory look like? Is that not even a class? So where's the factory part? Yeah, that's not very helpful. Where's it getting the factory type? I'm just reverse engineering all of that stuff. I think you just said something and I missed it. Tokenizers need not be generated. They're easy to write to. I think you can recognize that just saying it out loud if it helps you out. It's just been so long since I've looked at this. I'm having to remember how it works, and I'm trying to do this in a way that it doesn't rely upon. There's a weird balance. I'm trying to make sure that I'm somewhat Jackal friendly, trying to reduce the number of GWT creates that I use. And I know that a lot of this stuff uses the GWT.create. I don't know if this stuff has been ported over to Jackal or not. They are ported? Okay. Yeah. I might end up having to do that. Because I really don't want to use a generator for this. I know that I'm using a generator in a couple of places, but right now it's just for resources. And they're just temporary anyways. I could just do the same sort of thing with just implementing it. I just don't know how much I want to do on this that requires me to use a generator. Because I really don't want to use activities. And that's basically what the activity mapper is for, because it's going to be receiving a place change event. I mean, I can implement my own activity mapper where it doesn't rely upon... I just don't want the activity interface or the class, whichever it is, because it uses widget. And I also have to make sure that this stuff is, I can't just specify with tokenizers here. I can't use a generation because of the fact that we're having to register plugins at runtime. So I'm curious what that's going to look like. If I place history mapper, what if I were to extend abstract place history mapper? Get prefix and token. I might have to take a look at the abstract. Actually, what I could do, let me revert this stuff real quick. Let me get back over here, make sure that it all compiles. What I could do is just create something. Ugh. Yeah, that's right. Where is that giving me a problem? it's probably because I need to clear out some of the old stuff. All right, while that's compiling, hopefully that actually does compile. Let's go to the very bottom of that. Can I clear that console? Swore you could clear a console. Here we go, clear buffer. Apparently it's only available in a context menu now. All right, what I want to do, oh, this does have an error, doesn't it? That's probably what it was. Well, that's gonna come up with an error. All right, so what I want to do, let's go ahead and create temporarily a class for this. I just want to see what it looks like. So this is done 2 years ago, at least. Yeah, I might look at this. We'll see. All right, so what's its problem now? Notes place. Forgot to change that. Oh, I haven't inherited that. That's fine. It will be at the in the end. Come on. That already filled. Apparently I didn't do that either. Can I just throw it in null? I don't really care. Not until I get to play around with the implementation that I get. That's the whole point of what I'm trying to do. Just want to see what is actually implemented from the generator. Is it working? Okay, it was working. I was like, I don't think it's doing anything. Doubt I'll be able to see this because I'm not actually doing a GWT.create on it. Yeah, it's taking a while, huh? There we go. Finally got in there. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, it's because I actually have a token there. Alright, so if I open up type, foo activity? No, not activity. Foo place history. Yeah, I didn't think so. I need to private foo place history mapper. Ooh, that didn't work. Got null. I know that's by default, but unless I need a restart code server. possible. Let's go ahead and restart that. What in the world did I get wrong here? Yeah, it doesn't help that I added generics to that because I was indecisive of what I actually wanted there. Actual and formal argument list different length. Man, I have no idea. Oh, that's interesting. Why? New registry. Let me take a look at that again. Oh, I think it's because of this inject here. Probably need that to be there. I don't think I can mix injection mechanisms. Yeah, it was invalid because I was doing two different dependency injection mechanisms. I was doing constructor and that's kind of weird that it's I wonder if it's old code. Let me clean compile this. There we go. That seemed to have fixed that. Whether or not it GWT compiles is a different matter. But it was actually a compilation Java C issue earlier. Man, I may need to reboot. Everything is so laggy. I'm streaming okay, no drop frames. Seems like my Laptop's overwhelmed though. I'm still using a 2018 MacBook Pro. Yeah, it still works pretty well. Still not convinced about the M2 architecture. I like the Intel. Especially with the some of the external devices that you can get. I've been considering getting a an external GPU. That'll only work if it's a Intel architecture. Would definitely be better for doing like video editing and stuff. Well, that seems to be better now. I just want to see what the the generated implementation is going to look like for this dummy foo place down here. So yeah, I still need to be able to map places to something. I don't really want to call them activities because that's going to be confusing. So with the places and activities, is it just places? What kind of source do we have here? Oh, so this does not have any activity stuff, does it? Huh, I might actually use that. Because I always looked at the places and activities and GWT as being like hand in hand. But if this is just the place stuff, I can handle that. But again, I still can't do the with tokenizers because of the fact that I'm not going to have that information available. So I'll still need to do my own implementation. It does look like it's started. So let's take a look at the, there we go. What does it do? So it creates an extension of abstract place history. So this is just hard-coded with instance ofs based upon the tokenizers that you gave it. Because the tokenizer is going to implement a place tokenizer of your place. So then it's able to grab the place class and then just go through and do an instance of. But then, oh, I see. So we can basically specify its prefix. What is it? What factory does it have? So it actually does void here. Unless you have like a with factory. I think there's a with factory annotation. Yeah, with factory annotation. Oh. Forgot that I put myself on the left during compilation. Yeah, I need to get my green screen set up again. I just don't want my dog to rip it up. He might feel claustrophobic. Yeah, I might do that. Well, let me tell you what. Let me regroup. Um, let me figure out a better approach for some of this stuff, because long story short, we basically want to be able to register ourselves not only to the navigation. Let me pull up the other wireframe again. We have this navigation to the other left, and I don't know if it needs to be separate. It probably doesn't need to be separate from the crap inside. So if we have a one-to-one with the main navigation to the plugin, and then the plugin itself could have its own navigation under it. Notice that we have pipeline, customers, reporting, configuration. This stuff is actually navigation within the CRM plugin. That can still go into the place and the tokenizer, but we might be able to separate that. So whenever we're registering our place in the application, something could register the callback for the menu navigation, but then for the places mapping and the tokenization, we can hand it off to the tokenizer for how it wants to handle it. So let me regroup with that. I've been streaming for 2 hours now, and I will cut the other stream for now. We will come back whenever I have a better idea of what we're doing with the navigation and the history, and hopefully we'll be able to crank it out completely at that point. So make sure that you put your notifications on, so whenever we go live again, you'll be able to see it. YouTube audiences, you should be able to see the next video in the playlist. So I will see you then. Take it easy.